and 2 exits behind you at first floor level, 1 left and 1 right. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please proceed calmly and directly to your nearest exit, following the instructions of staff. Smoking and the use of flash photography are not permitted in the auditorium. Please ensure that all phones, pagers, and any items likely to disturb the performance are switched off now. Thank you for coming to Mermaid and enjoy the show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you can see me, I hope you can. You'll soon be able to hear me. You're all very welcome to the opening night of Bray Institute's production of Jane Eyre. And it's not just the opening night of Jane Eyre, it's also the opening night of the inaugural Bray Institute 50 Arts Festival. So over the next month we are going to have not just theatre but music, dance, film and several seminars, and all the details are in this brochure here, which you should have a copy of, and if not, there's some outside in the foyer. There's a few people that I have to thank first up, without whom this just would not be possible. So I'd like to thank MJ Flood, Opus Print and Promotions, the Wicklow Times, and Rory Bandel and the Chamber of Commerce for all their sponsorship and all the support that they've given us throughout this process. Also to Ray Tellers and Gabriel Allen of Bray Institute for really kind of, supporting the arts in Bray and the programs or the courses, I should say, available at Bray Institute. It's their idea for the first time to put all the shows we do in March under the one umbrella, and we hope this is going to be the first of many arts festivals, and as they say, from small acorns grow mighty oaks. So we hope that you will support not just this show, but the shows and seminars coming up throughout the month of March. We're coming up on 20 years of the acting program here at Bray Institute. It's hard to believe, despite my youthful features, I was enrolled in the very first year when we were stationed up in Putland Road. So a huge thank you and a shout out has to go to Mary Kevin Fergata for keeping it going before there was any Mermaid and any central location for theatre in Bray. She kept it going, and so many people have been through the college and have gone on and they've gone on to be employed in different areas of the arts, and not just the acting program, but the music, the film, the dance, etc. And I think it's important to remember that not everybody wants to be a lawyer or a doctor or anything like that, and that doesn't mean that because they're creative that their interests or their pursuits are any less important. So it's a minority sport, as I keep repeating over the course of these weeks, but it's a very important sport, and it reflects who we are as a community and as a culture. So thank you so much for coming out to support us tonight, for leaving your sofas and your TVs and your laptops. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you will continue to support the arts in Bray and Wicklow in general. So I'll leave you now to our wonderful cast and crew. Thank you very much.
Of the Arctic zone lies buried under frost and snow. These forsaken regions of dreary spaces are seldom seen by human eyes. The extreme cold and biting winds make uninhabitable this frozen waste.
The tropical clime of the West Indies has been described as a paradise on Earth.
The sunshine and heavy rainfall give rise to abundant growth. Oranges and pineapples grow on trees. Huge tropical plants set the air. The sea is warm as a bath and the light is golden day in, day out. In the dry months of the winter, the women dance and sing to bring the rain.
Show me the picture!
When the storm finally breaks, it rains so hard there are rivers in the streets and through the houses. In summer, the hurricane comes. These 150-mile-per-hour winds can uproot trees and smash through houses. Tidal waves 50 feet high crash against the coastline, causing havoc. Every year, several feet of the island disappear into the sea.
Madame Hope! Where is she? Tell Mama she's run out into the rain. Bad animal.
What do you want?
What do you want, Master Reed? I want you to come here. What were you doing behind the chair?
I was reading.
You were hiding, sneaking around as usual. You have no business to take our books. You are a dependent, as Mama's told you. You have no money. Your father left you none. You are to beg, not live here with a gentleman's family like us, and eat the same food as we do, and wear clothes at Mama's expense. Mama says you are so plain, it is not worth buying you pretty dresses. She says you are the plainest little girl she ever saw. Get away from me.
Now. I can't. Tell him. I can't.
Go and stand by the door, away from the mirror and windows.
Don't move!
I've got to.
No!
Coward!
Wicked cruel boy! You're like a slave driver!
A murderer! A monster!
What? Did she say that to me? Wait till I tell Mama. Ah! Rats! Rats!
What fury to fly at Master John! Did anyone ever see such a picture of cash? Take her away to the Red Room and lock her in there!
Hold on, she's like a wild cat.
For shame! For shame!
Sit still or you'll have to be tied down. Bessie, take off your coat.
No! Don't take them off. I will not stir.
With shocking competence there, to strike your master, she is on her show without biting.
How's he my master? Am I his servant? You ought to be aware, miss, that you're indebted to Miss Reed. She keeps you. If she were to turn you off, you would have to go to the poorhouse. You ought to be useful and pleasant. If you are passionate and rude, Mrs. will send you away. She never did so before. She's usually so quiet. Too quiet, in fact, for a child.
It was always in her. She's an underhand thing. I never saw a child of her age with so much cover. Come, Bessie, we'll leave her.
Unjust! Unjust!
Why can I never please?
He's cruel and wicked.
Why is it useless to try and win anyone's favour?
He should be punished, not me. He drowned a kitten in the stream. He set the dogs and the sheep. He snaps the heads of the flowers in the hothouse and laughs.
I dare commit no fault. I strive to fulfill every duty, and I am caught naughty and sullen and sneaky.
Unjust, unjust.
I will run away. I will not eat or drink. I will let myself die.
If Mr. Reed had been alive, he would have treated me kindly. Shh, shh. I have read that dead men can come back. They come back to punish the living who have failed to do their bidding as Mrs. Reed has. She promised him to look after me and treat me as her own. He will come back and torment me.
Shut up! Shut up! He died in this room. He was laid out in that bed.
I saw something! Something moved!
Let me out! Let me go! There was somebody there.
What is all this? I gave orders she be left until I came to hear myself. She screamed so loud, Mum. She has screamed on purpose as if she were in great pain. Let her go, lose her hand, child. You cannot succeed in getting out by this trickery.
I had meant to free you shortly, but you will now stay an hour longer.
Aunt, have pity. Forgive me. I cannot endure it. I should be killed.
You shall not be killed, Jane Eyre. It is a sin to be deceitful and to lie. You must learn.
I'm not a liar. If I were, I should say I loved you, but I don't love you. I dislike you the worst of anybody in the world except your son.
What more have you to say?
I am glad you are no relation of mine. I will never call you aunt as long as I live. I will never come to see you when I'm grown, and I will tell anyone who asks me how you locked me up and treated me with cruelty.
How dare you affirm that, Jane Eyre?
How dare I? How dare I? Because it is the truth. You think I have no feelings, that I can do without one bit of love or kindness, but I cannot live so. No one could live so.
She shall remain in here an hour longer, but only on the condition of perfect stillness and submission that I shall release her then. Henceforth, my own children shall play in the drawing room, and she will be confined to the nursery. I do not choose that John or his sister should associate with her.
They're not fit to associate with me.
How could you say such things?
It's true.
Look what you've done.
Good people are obedient. Wicked people will have it all their own way.
You have made them all hate me.
They will never be afraid and never change. They will grow worse and worse.
No one will speak to me. I will be punished and punished.
When we are struck unfairly, we must strike back very hard to teach them never to do it again.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up!
Respecting whom I apply to you?
Her size is small. What is her age?
10 years.
So much? Your name, little girl?
Jane Eyre, sir.
Well, Jane, are you a good girl?
Perhaps the less said on that, Mr. Brocklehurst, the better.
No sight so sad as that of a naughty child. Do you know, Jane, where the wicked go after death?
They go to hell.
And what is hell?
A pit full of fire.
Bring me that candle. Now, Jane, place your finger into the flame.
I cannot.
You cannot. You cannot put your finger into the flame, and yet you would spend eternity burning in the fiery lake of sulphur, tormented day and night, forever and ever.
No, sir.
Then, what must you do to avoid it?
I must keep in good health and not die.
But how can it be when children younger than you are dying every day? Do you say your prayers night and day?
Yes, sir.
Do you read your Bible?
Sometimes.
Only sometimes.
I like Revelations and the book of Daniel and Exodus and some parts of Kings and Chronicles and Jonah and
The
John.
Psalms, I hope you like them.
No, sir.
Mr. Brocklehurst, as you can see, this child has neither the disposition or character I would wish for. I would be glad if the teacher below would keep a strict eye on her and to guard, particularly against her worst fault, the tendency to deceit. As for vacations, with your permission, we'll spend always at school.
She shall be watched, Mrs. Reed. Little girl, come here. Read this book with prayer. It tells of the awfully sudden death of a naughty little girl not much older than yourself. A girl who thought it funny to shout out of her bedroom window onto the street, "Fire! Fire!" Of course, people came running with buckets full of water and ropes and ladders, only to find that there was no fire. Then one day, this naughty little girl was alone in the house, and she smelt smoke. She ran to the window, and what did she shout? Those same words, "Fire! Fire!" And did they believe her? They did not.
Miss Jane, where are you? Miss Jane!
school.
And will you miss Bessie when you're gone?
What does Bessie care for me? She's always scolding me.
It's because you're such a shy, queer, frightened little thing. You should be more bold.
And what? To get more knocks?
It's the way you start when I speak to you. It's so provoking.
I don't think I should ever be frightened of you again, Bessie, because I've got used to you. Now I've a new set of people to dread.
If you dread them, they will dislike you.
As you do, Bessie.
You sharp little thing. Listen the way she speaks.
You see?
Very well. Tomorrow afternoon, Mrs. Reed and the children are not at home. I shall ask Cook to bake us a cake, and you and I shall have tea together. You shall eat from the special plate with the bird of paradise on it, and I shall read you a story from that book you're always after. Now, are you still glad to be leaving me?
Not at all, Bessie. Indeed, just now I am rather sad.
Just now? Rather? How coolly she says it. I dare say, if I were to ask you for a kiss, you'd say you'd rather not.
Bend your head down. At school, I shall learn how to draw and write stories and speak in foreign languages. I should be friendly and helpful and work hard and...
When I behold the wondrous cross on which the Prince of Glory died, my riches gain I can't but loss, and put contempt on all my pride. I place her thus, so that everyone will see her and recognize her. You observe she possesses the ordinary form of childhood. No one would think that the evil one has already found in her a servant or agent, but such is the case. This girl is not a true member of the flock. You must shun her example. Avoid her company. Teachers, keep your eyes on her movements and weigh well her words, for it's in these words that her illness lies. This girl is a liar! What is that girl with curled hair? Curled red hair. Have I not said again and again that hair should be arranged plainly, modestly?
Her hair curls naturally, sir.
Naturally? We are here to mortify in these girls the lusts of the flesh, to teach them to clothe themselves with shamefacedness and sobriety. That girl's hair, it must be cut off entirely. I will send a barber tomorrow. Let her stand half an hour longer.
When I behold the wondrous cross on which the Prince
Forehead it, Lord, that I should boast, save in the death of Christ my God. Why are you so kind to a girl whom everyone believes to be a liar?
Everyone? There are only 80 people who have heard you called so. The world contains hundreds of millions.
But what have I to do with millions? The 80 I know despise me.
They pity you more like.
How can they pity me after what he said?
Mr. Brocklehurst is not a god.
But he told them He told them
If all the world believed you wicked while your own conscience approved you, you would not be without friends.
Caliban! You will scrub the kitchen yard and wear the disobedience badge for the rest of the week. You will stay as you are for another hour.
You were right to say that Mr. Brocklehurst is not a god. He is a tyrant.
He does as he thinks best.
But you don't despise him and wish him ill for making you wear that disobedience badge and scrubbing the kitchen yard in the freezing and...
Well, he is right. I am disobedient.
He is cruel and harsh. He should be punished, not you.
He only dislikes my faults.
If good people are always obedient, then wicked people will have it all their own way.
Vengeance cannot heal injury.
Yes, it can. When we are struck at unfairly, we must strike back. very hard.
Would you not be happier if you tried to forget his severities?
Forget? How can I?
Life is too short to be spent nursing anger and counting up wrongs, Jane.
He has made all but you despise me. I cannot bear to be alone and hated. To gain affection, I would willingly have the bone of my arm broken, or stand behind a kicking horse and let its hoof dash against my chest.
Jane, you think too much of the love of human beings.
But who else will?
You are not alone nor ever will be. There is an invisible world, a kingdom of spirits. They watch over us. They're here to guide us. They see our torture and they recognize our innocence. Why then be distressed when life is short and death a certain entrance to happiness?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be
Jane
done.
Eyre! Why are you still at prayer?
I'm sorry.
Did you not hear the evening bell?
I'm sorry, sir, I forgot the time.
Go quietly and take off your shoes.
Sir, why was Helen not in class today?
She is unwell.
What makes her ill?
She has tuberculosis.
And Sarah and Anne?
They are sick too.
Will they get better?
Maybe, if we pray for them. There will be no more lessons for the rest of the week. You will spend your time at study and at prayer. The sick room is out of bounds.
Jane, is that you? They said I might not come, but I wanted to see you.
You've come to wish me goodbye, Jane.
Are you going somewhere? Are you going home?
Yes, to my last home, my long home.
No! No, Helen!
Yes, I am sure of it.
But only last week you took a walk in the garden and...
I am very happy, Jane. When I am dead, you mustn't grieve.
Where are you going to, Helen? Do you know? Can you see?
I am going to God.
You are sure then that there is such a place as heaven? That our souls will go there when we die and I shall see you again?
How comfortable I am. I feel as if I could sleep. But don't leave me. I like to have you near me.
No one will take me away from you.
Our Father,
who art in heaven.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Helen? Helen!
Give us this day our daily
Helen?
bread. And forgive us our trespasses.
Helen!
As we forgive those who trespass against us.
The herringbone stitch is a decorative stitch used in the embroidery of handkerchiefs, linens and bonnets. The thread is brought forward from behind and fed back at a diagonal. How I long to see beyond that dreary hill. How I wish I could see into the busy world I have read about. Towns, cities full of life and activity. Oh Lord, I know I should be contented. I am clothed and fed and have means to live, but is there not more to life? Using the thumb and the forefinger, pull the thread tight enough to secure it, but not so tight as to make a hole. Of this whole wide world, I know nothing but this tiny corner. Nothing but this endless round of dreary tasks. Each day the same as the day before. Oh Lord, forgive me, but I must know more.
Here!
Your hands are half numb from the cold. Come inside. I'm so glad to see you. All winter we've seen no of the butcher and the postman, and then last month Adele arrived. She is Mr. Rochester's ward. Poor girl, her mother died, and he's left her here with me who can't speak a word of her language. She must talk to herself in mirror for company. Come and speak to the lady who's going to teach you and make you understand me.
C'est le gouvernement. Bonjour. Vous parlez français?
Oui.
C'est magnifique. Est-ce que vous aimez danser?
Now, we see Miss Eyre's tired from her journey.
C'est après mon bracelet. Elle est jolie, n'est-ce pas?
Can you understand her when she runs on fast like that?
I was taught by a French lady.
Well, will you tell her it's time for bed?
Il faut aller vous coucher maintenant. On se voit demain. À demain. Is Mr. Rochester away?
Oh, his visits are always rare and always unexpected. He never stays for long. A week, maybe 2. Oh, here is Grace Poole. She will show you to your room.
Look, you have pulled it too tight. You've almost made a hole. C'est compliqué. In English, Adele, we speak English in class. I do not like to work today. Unpick the stitches and start again. Regardez-moi. Adele. Look at me. You may go. Lessons will continue this afternoon. Tell cook I'm not hungry. Oh, Lord, forgive me.
I know that women are supposed to be calm. I know that women should be satisfied with tranquility, but it is not so. Women feel just as men feel. They suffer from stagnation. They must not confine themselves to making puddings and knitting stockings and playing the piano. They must exercise their powers. They must have action, and they will make it if they cannot find it.
Shut up, Eyre! You, stay away from me.
If you are hurt and want help, I can fetch someone from Thornfield.
Stand aside. I have no broken bones. It's just a sprain. Ah! Thornfield, you say?
That is where I live, just below. I was going to post a letter.
And whose house is it?
Mr. Rochester's.
Indeed.
Do you know Mr. Rochester?
Very well. You are not one of the servants, of course. You are...
I am the governess.
Ah, yes. The governess. I'd forgotten. Well, in that case, you may help me yourself a little, if you would. Fetch my horse's bridle and bring him to me. I see. Well, in that case, I must beg of you to come here. Necessity compels me to make you useful. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Tell your Mr. Rochester that young ladies ought not to be wandering abroad on such a night.
I was not wandering, sir. I was, as I said, going to post a letter.
Then make haste and return as fast as you can.
Oh, thank goodness you're back. Did you ever see snow fall so fast?
Whose coat is that?
The master's. He's just now arrived.
The master.
Yes, Mr. Rochester. He's had a fall on the ice and he sprained his ankle.
Good evening. Rochester Marshall?
Our Father, who art in heaven. Continue.
Our Father who art in heaven. I asked for a dress like the swan from Swan Lake with a qu'est-ce que c'est les mots en anglais? Les ailes?
Wings.
Wings.
Where has Mr. Rochester come from?
From Paris and Rome and before that another place. Perhaps he brings you also a cadeau. He asked me for the name of my government and if you are small and pale and thin, and I said yes.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
Our Father, who art in heaven.
Continue.
Mr. Rochester requests you and your pupil come to the drawing room.
I see Adele is disappointed. She'd expected to find a pile of presents and finds only myself and Pilot instead. A poor substitute. Oh.
Good evening.
They'll be delivered next week.
How is your ankle?
I am impressed, Miss Eyre. Your pupil has made progress, even though she's neither bright nor disciplined.
Thank you.
Well, come out of the shadows. I can't see you. Where did you come from?
No, it's good.
Your parents?
Dead, sir.
Brothers and sisters?
I have none.
I thought not. When you came upon me last night, I thought of sprites and fairy tales. I had half a mind you bewitched my horse. Who recommended you come here?
Mrs. Fairfax. I advertised, and she answered. It was the only reply.
Miss Eyre has been a great companion and an excellent teacher to Adele.
Don't bother giving a reference. I can be the judge for myself. She began by felling my horse.
Sir.
Adele has shown me some of your drawings. I was intrigued. They are, I take it, born of the imagination. You have not yourself travelled the world.
No, sir.
You have been tutored, though, I see.
No, sir.
Then you have some natural talent.
I cannot say.
And why ever not?
I have no means by which to judge.
You mean you've nothing to compare it with? You've seen little society and less of culture, am I right?
Yes, sir.
I see you are fascinated by the pattern in my carpet. My questions are a trial to you. Very well, you may go, and take Adele with you. Next time you will not escape so easily.
I thought you said that Mr. Rochester was gentlemanly and kind.
And so he is.
He is abrupt and changeful.
Oh, I'm so accustomed to his manner I hardly ever notice it.
He blows hot and then cold in the space of a moment.
If he is sometimes ill-tempered, allowances should be made.
Why?
Oh, he has painful thoughts.
What about?
Family troubles.
What kind?
I don't know, don't ask me. He's never spoken of them to me.
Who is that?
Oh, that's just Grace Poole. She lives in the attic. She's forgotten the mass or so. Perhaps time to be quiet.
Grace Poole.
Yes, she's had a little bit to drink. It's a weakness of hers.
Drag them into a corner and amuse yourself disemboweling them. Mind you don't bother me with the entrails. Miss Eyre, is she here?
I am, sir.
Be seated. Don't drag it away. Sit where I place it. Mrs. Fairfax. Mrs. Fairfax, I have called to you on a charitable purpose. I have forbidden Adele to talk to me of her presence. Have the goodness to service her audience. I am disposed to be gregarious tonight, Miss Eyre. Talk to me.
What about, sir?
Oh, whatever you like. I leave the choice of topic entirely to yourself. Ah, you are silent. You think me insolent. You think I have no right to command you in such a way. I read as much in your eye, Miss Eyre. Beware what you express with that organ. I am an expert at reading its language. I'm old enough to be your father. I've roamed half the world and seen much of life. Does this not allow me to be a little commanding, a little masterful once in a while?
You may do as you please.
That is not an answer.
I don't think so. You have the right to command me, merely because you are older than I, or because you have seen more of the world. Your claim to superiority depends on the use you have made of your experience. I am, however, paid to receive your orders.
Paid? Paid. I had forgotten the salary. Well, on those mercenary grounds, perhaps you will allow me to hector you a little.
No, sir. Not on those grounds, but on the grounds that you did forget the salary.
I may dispense with the conventionalities then. You will not think me insolent.
I shall never mistake informality for insolence. One I rather like, the other nothing freeborn would submit to.
Oh, c'est belle, c'est magnifique. Il faut que je les aille. Je reviens entendre. Come with me.
You examine me, Miss Eyre.
Do you think me handsome?
No.
You say very little, but when you do, it's to the point.
Sir, I was too plain. I ought to have replied that beauty is of little consequence.
You ought to reply no such thing. Beauty of no consequence indeed. Why, under the pretense of softening the previous outrage, you stick the knife in further.
I see I have outstayed my welcome.
Wait! In a moment, Adele will appear in her costume. She will be the miniature of her mother. My tenderest feelings are about to receive a shock. Have you ever loved, Miss Eyre? I think not. Your eye is still clear, your brows smooth. You might find it hard to believe. I was once like you. My memory unpolluted, my conscience clean. A memory unsoiled is an exquisite treasure, a source of pure refreshment.
Monsieur, I thank you 1,000 times for your kindness. I do exactly like Maman, n'est-ce pas?
Precisely. It's 9 o'clock! What are you about, Miss Eyre, letting Adele stay up so late? Take her to bed! Do you ever laugh, Miss Eyre? Don't trouble to answer, I see you laugh rarely. The lowered constraint still clings to you. It muffles your voice and controls your features and limbs. You fear to speak too freely or move too quickly. But in time, you will be natural with me. I find it impossible to be conventional with you. You still bent on going?
You ordered me to do so, sir.
So I did. I had forgotten. Good night.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this.
Adele, you must allow me to steal your playmate on the grounds that I give you mine. Good boy.
What a beautiful evening. It's like summer already.
She is quite transformed by your efforts.
She has begun to be interested in her lessons. I caught her reading a book on her own accord yesterday.
Do you see any likeness in her to me?
No. Why? Should I?
Her mother insisted she was my daughter. I cannot see it for myself. You are shocked.
I understood she was no relation.
You may be right. Her mother was a French dancer. I was, I believed, deeply in love. I lavished her with gifts, set her up in her own apartment. Then, one night I decided to surprise her with a visit. She returned from the theatre with another man. I was forced to listen to the whisperings and love-making. Have you ever felt jealousy, Miss Eyre? No, of course not. You've never felt love. Your soul sleeps. You float on downstream with closed eyes and muffled ears. But I tell you, one day it will happen. You will be dragged helpless into the rapids. You will be tossed and crushed and flung. Either you'll be dashed to pieces or lifted up and borne by some great wave into a calmer current, as I am now. On a day like today, I might almost believe myself happy.
You find Cornfield tranquil, sir? Pleases you to be here?
But now it does. In the past, I abhorred the very thought of it. You will, no doubt, think differently now of your protégé. Very soon you'll be coming to me with notice that you found a new situation and wish to be replaced.
No, sir. Adele is not answerable for her mother's faults or yours. Now that I know she is an orphan, I will cling to her closer than before.
And what of me?
Sir?
Do you think me irredeemable, now that you know something of my past?
No, because you are now, I think, living by better rules.
But how can I clear the dark pool of memory? Can I live again without remorse or guilt?
Repenting, sir, is the answer, they say.
Yeah, of course.
If from this day forward you decide to correct your thoughts and actions, you will soon have a new store of recollections, one to which you might revert with pleasure.
Yes, of course. I believe it to be so. It must be so.
I must go.
Yes,
Mrs. Fairfax will be waiting.
indeed.
And Adele.
Of course.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Forgive me, Lord. Teach me to want nothing, desire nothing for myself.
Deuce! Is there a flood?
No, sir, there has been a fire.
Is that you, Miss Eyre? Have you plotted to drown me?
No, sir, but someone tried to burn you alive. Your sheets were on fire. A minute later, and you
Wait
were...
there! What did you see upon quitting our chamber?
A candle dropped on the floor, and then I heard footsteps leading to the attic. There is a woman who sleeps there, Grace Poole. She lives in the attic, does she not?
Yes, you have guessed it. I have my own reasons for keeping her there. You are no talking fool, Jane. Say nothing about tonight's incident. I shall account for it in the morning.
Good night then, sir.
What? Will you quit me?
I am cold, sir.
Not without taking leave. You have saved my life, snatched me from a horrible death, and yet you walk past me as if we were strangers. At least, shake hands. Nothing else that has been would have been tolerable to me as a creditor. But you, I knew you would come good in some way. I saw it in those eyes. Their expression did not strike the light in my inmost heart for nothing.
I'm glad I happened to be awake.
Will you still go?
I am cold, sir.
And standing in a puddle? Go on then, Jane. Go.
Miss Eyre, eat up. You ate so little at breakfast. I'm afraid you're not well today.
Ze gaat into burnt to ashes. Ze was a window so black with smoke. Imagine if Monsieur Rochester did not awake.
Now, I do hope a few of you will pay attention, Jane. I know that you too were fond of reading in bed with a candle.
The sheets were burnt black at the edges. A minute longer and he would
Oh, thank goodness the sun has shone today and he has great weather for his journey.
Journey?
Yes, he's gone to South Lees, and I believe there's quite a party there.
Will you expect him back tonight?
No, not for 2 weeks or more. Oh, and there's a young lady he will no doubt be pleased to see.
Who is that?
Perhaps you've heard of Blanche Ingram. She is known something of a beauty, and indeed lives up to her reputation.
You have seen her. What is she like?
Oh, elegant with a fine figure, beautiful dark eyes, altogether a pleasure to look upon. Oh, she's talented too. She plays the piano and she sings, and oh, her and Mr. Rochester sang a duet together.
Mr. Rochester? I was not aware that he could sing.
Oh yes, he has a fine bass voice.
Oft in the steady night, as slumber's chain hath bound me, fond memory brings the light of other days around me. The smiles, the tears of childhood years, the words of love unspoken, the eyes that shone now dimmed and gone.
I'm afraid you are right, Mrs. Fairfax. I am feeling unwell. A greater fool than Jane Eyre never breathed the breath of life.
You, a favourite with Mr. Rochester. You, gifted with the power of pleasing him. You, of importance to him in any way. He said something in praise of your eyes, did he? Well, look at those eyes. Look at that tired, uneven, charmless face, and draw it with chalk onto a piece of paper.
Right
Under it, portrait of the governess, disconnected, poor, and plain. Afterwards, mix your finest tints and draw the loveliest face you can imagine according to Miss Fairfax's description. Whenever in future you should fancy Mr. Rochester thinks well of you, take out those two pictures and compare them. I will do it.
I will do it.
I remember all those friends so linked together. I've seen around me fall like leaves on wintry weather.
Jane! Jane! Mr. Rochester has requested your company in the drawing room.
he not go, I'm sure.
I told him I thought you'd say that, and he told me it was his particular wish, and if you were to resist further, he'd come and fetch you.
I will not give him that trouble.
Nor am I.
You should send her to school.
Well, she has a governess.
Oh, yes. I think I saw such a person just now. Very miserable she looked.
My dear, do not mention governesses. The very word makes me nervous. Thank heavens I've done with them. I noticed yours just now and seen all the faults of a class.
And what, sir, are they?
I'll tell you later.
But my curiosity will be past its appetite. It craves food now.
I have just one word to say of the whole tribe. They are a nuisance. Not that we ever suffered much.
What tricks you used to play on owls.
Miss Wilson was a poor sickly thing, not worth the trouble of provoking. And Miss Gray was completely insensible. No blow ever took effect on her. But poor Madame Jabert, I remember her rages, and we had driven her insane. Spilled our tea, crumbled our cake, and tossed our books up into the ceiling. Papa, do you remember those merry days?
Crown it all. She took the liberty of falling in love with the boy's mathematics tutor.
Dear Papa, as soon as he got an inkling, he dismissed them both without payment.
Quite right, my lily flower. It is a...
Oh, Papa, spare us the details, please. Let's change the subject.
Certainly, my own. Let us not waste our breath.
Mr. Rochester, another song? Mind you, sing with spirit, though.
You will forgive me if I do not live up to the brilliance of my compass.
Take care. If you don't please me, I will shame you by showing you how things should be done.
Oh, what a promise. Now I shall endeavour to fail.
Believe me, for those endearing young charms which I gaze on so fondly today, were to change by tomorrow and fleet in thy arms like a fairy gifts fading away.
Thou wilt still be adored in this moment thou art. Let thy loveliness fade as it will. And around the dear ruin each wish of my heart would entwine itself urgently still. It is not of beauty and youth of I know, and my cheek unprofaned by a tear, that the fervour and faith of a soul can be known, which in time will but make thee more dear. Oh, the heart that truly loves never forgets, but as truly loves on to the close, as the sunflower turns on her top when he sets, the same glow that she gave when he rose. How do you do?
Very well, sir.
Why did you not come and speak to me?
I did not wish to disturb you. You seemed engaged, sir.
What have you been doing with yourself during my absence?
Teaching Adele as usual.
And getting a good deal paler as I saw at first sight. What is the matter?
Nothing. Nothing at all, sir.
You didn't take any colds that night when you half drowned me.
Not the least.
Return to the drawing room. You're deserting too early.
I am tired, sir.
And depressed. What about? Tell me.
Nothing. Nothing, sir. I am not depressed.
Oh, but you are. So much so that a few more words would bring tears to your eyes. Indeed, there they are now. Very well. You are excused. But understand that as long as my visitors remain, you are expected to appear in the drawing room every evening with Adele. Good night, my...
Mr. Rochester! We thought you must have been stricken with a fever. What other excuse could there be for abandoning a young lady?
You must excuse me. I have to be up early. I'm afraid tomorrow I must leave you. I'll have to make a trip on business which cannot be delayed.
Do come and join us. We're short of a player.
You know I cannot bear to play cards and never could.
But we miss your company. You've hardly said a word all day. I do hope you aren't sickening for something.
C'est Monsieur Rochester déjà?
It is a man! A stranger! How provoking, you tiresome monkey! Should she not be sent to bed?
It is only 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, 5 o'clock. Is that all?
Allow me to introduce Mr. Mason, a friend of Mr. Rochester from his time in,
Spanish Town, Jamaica. Forgive me. I come at an inopportune moment. I arrived from a long journey. I must presume so far as to install myself here until Mr. Rochester returns.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Perhaps Mr. Mason will be our fourth player. We find ourselves short.
Forgive me if I decline. I must sit a while on top of the fire. I am half frozen.
Tell her if she doesn't take herself off, she should be put in the stocks.
What is it?
A tiresome old woman, a gypsy badgering to read our fortunes.
A gypsy?
What is she like?
A shockingly ugly creature, miss, and dirty as a crook.
A real sorceress! What fun! Bring her in.
My dear, whatever can you be thinking of? I cannot possibly...
No, indeed, Papa, but you can and you will. I wish to hear my fortune told.
And me.
But my best, my dearest, she may be a thief or a murderer.
She now refuses to come in and will insist on a room of her own. Those who wish to see her must go in one at a time.
You see, my dear, she encroaches on our very being.
Show her to the library. I shall go first.
My goodness, Mrs. Fairfax, stand outside the door. If you hear so much as a squeak, call the servants.
Who shall go next? What shall I ask her? Do you think she can really see into the future?
You are warmer now, I hope.
A little. I'm not yet used to the climate. When I left the West Indies, it was midsummer.
I knew that Mr. Rochester had travelled, but I didn't know he had roamed so far.
Indeed. He lived some years in Jamaica and was once quite settled there.
What happened?
What did she say?
Very little.
Is she a real fortune teller?
How do you feel?
You seem, all of you, to believe we have a genuine witch in the house. I have seen a gypsy vagabond, and she told me just what such people usually tell. And now I think Papa would do well by putting her in the stocks tomorrow morning as he threatened.
Me next.
You see, my dear, I told you not to go. She's made you unhappy.
She's not made me unhappy. She's not the power to make me unhappy. She is a charlatan, and that is the end of it.
She now requests that after she sees the young lady, she might see the governess. She seems to know your name, would insist upon it. I told her I would ask.
Let me see your face. Reason sits firm and holds the reins. She will not let the feelings have sway. The passions may rage. Desire may imagine wonderful things, but judgment shall have the last word in every argument. Strong wind, earthquake,
Shock and fire may pass by, but she shall follow that small voice called reason.
Mr. Rochester! Ah! Ah! My God, what are you doing here?
I thought you recognized me.
It's enough. You were a fool to come here alone. Jane!
Yes, sir.
You turn second sight of blood.
I think not.
Pull this fast to the wound. I must leave you in this room with this gentleman for an hour, maybe 2. You will not speak to him under any pretext. And Richard, it will be at the peril of your life if you speak to her. I shall go get a surgeon. We shall have you away by dawn.
Let her be taken care of, Rochester. She knew not what she did. Let her be treated as tenderly as she may be.
I do my best, and I've done so. And will always.
But, sir, will Grace Poole live here still?
It is not a circumstance I am able to alter.
But it seems to me your life is...
I must away! Hear me, Mason. If you so much as open your lips, I will not be answerable for the consequences.
You will forgive Jane my prank.
Sir?
The gypsy.
Not until I have thought through every word, and I'm sure I made no blunder.
Oh no. You are very serious, very correct, as always. It is very likely it is I who made the blunder.
You, sir?
I don't know. I can't tell.
Ah!
What's happening?
Has anything happened? What is it, monsieur?
A servant has had a nightmare, that is all. There is no cause for alarm. Off to bed. To bed.
Jane Eyre! Jane Eyre, I want you, Jane Eyre! Jane Eyre! Is it Miss Jane?
How is she?
She's been asking for you endlessly.
Jane Eyre!
She will come. She's had some sort of attack. Her son committed suicide.
I've had more trouble with that child than anyone would believe. I declare she talked to me like something mad or a fiend.
Why, Mrs. Reed?
She attacked my dear John. Bit him on the shoulder and drew blood. Is he there?
No, miss. Nor can be.
I'm sorry.
Who is that?
It is I, Aunt Reed.
Why? It is. You are like Jane Eyre. This is a mistake. I wish to see Jane Eyre and fancy a likeness where none exists.
It is she, Aunt.
Is there anyone in the room but you?
Bessie is here.
Send her away. Look in my reticule. Take out the letter and read it to me.
Madame, you will have the goodness to send me the address of my niece, Jane Eyre. It is my intention to adopt her and have her live with me as my daughter, thereby relieving you of her care. John Eyre. Why have I never heard of this?
Because I disliked you so much, the fury you once turned on me.
Oh, dear Mrs. Reed, if you could think no more of it, if you could forgive me for my passionate nature. I was but a child.
I wrote and told him you died of the typhus fever. Go ahead, write and contradict me, expose my falsehood. You were born to torment me. My last hours racked with the recollection of a deed which I had never meant to do. It wasn't for you.
If you could think no more of it, Aunt. If you could think of me with kindness and forgiveness.
Jane Eyre, you have a very bad disposition, and to this day I will never understand.
Up to your old tricks again, I see. You not sent for a carriage, and arrive like a common mortal, yet you must steal upon us by twilight like a fairy. What the deuce have you been doing with yourself for the past 30 days?
I have been with my aunt, sir, who was buried yesterday.
I see.
I came as soon as I was able. I wrote to Mrs. Fairfax.
So I hear. Twice a week, on Mondays and Fridays. Adele, too, has had a weekly feast of a letter, whilst I have not heard a single word.
You have been in London, sir.
I suppose you found that out by second sight.
Mrs. Fairfax told me in a letter.
Oh yeah, of course. A letter. Did she tell you what I went to do?
She did.
You must see the carriage I bought, Jane. Mrs. Rochester will look magnificent on her wedding day. I only wish that I were better matched to suit the picture. Tell me, fairy as you are, can't you give me a charm?
Make me handsome.
That would be beyond the power of magic.
I had forgotten your tendency to tell the truth.
I meant, sir, a loving eye is all the charm needed, to which you are handsome enough, or rather your sternness has a power beyond beauty.
You wish to pass? Oh, I'm in your way. Forgive me.
Have you ever known such wonderful weather, day in, day out?
Not that I can remember.
This is what it must be like to live in Italy, or I wish it would go on forever. Is there any news of the wedding?
Not a word. I decided to ask him right out this morning, and he answered with a queer smile and a joke. I can't make it out.
Perhaps once he is married, he might keep us together, you, Adele, and I, somewhere under his protection where we might see him sometimes.
Perhaps.
Jane! Come, take a look at this fellow. I've never seen the like before in England. Turning your back on so lovely a night? Surely nobody would wish to go to bed. Please, sit a while. Thornfield is pleasant in the summer, is it not?
Yes, sir.
You must have become attached to the house and some of those within it.
Yes, sir.
Pity. It is always this way in life. No sooner do you settle down when a voice calls you to rise and move on.
Must I move on, sir?
I believe you must.
Then you are going to be married?
Exactly. Precisely. Adele shall be sent to school.
Soon, sir?
Very soon.
I will advertise immediately.
Oh, there's no need. I have found you a position.
Thank you. I am sorry.
It is to undertake the education of the 5 daughters of Mrs. of Gall, Connaught, Ireland.
It is a long way off.
A girl of your sense will not object to the journey.
Not the journey, but the distance, and the sea too is a barrier.
From what, Jane?
From Thornfield, and from England, and...
Well?
From you, sir.
You know, Jane, sometimes I have a queer feeling. Especially when you are near me, such as now. It is as if there was a string somewhere under my rib. Every time you move or speak, I feel a tug. I am afraid that if you went to Connacht, the string would snap, and I would bleed inwardly. As for you, you'd forget me, I suppose.
That I would never do, sir. I wish I had never been born. I wish I had never come to Thornfield.
Because you are sorry to leave it.
I grieve to leave Thornfield. I have lived in it a full, a delightful life. I have not been excluded from all that is high, bright, and energetic. I have talked face to face with an original, an expanded mind. I have known you, Mr. Rochester. Now I must be torn from you forever.
Why?
Why? Have you not just told me you are going to be married to one inferior to you, to one I do not believe you truly love?
Don't go!
Don't go! Do you think I can stay to become nothing to you? Do you think I am an automaton, a machine without feelings? Do you think, just because I am poor, obscure, and plain, that I am soulless and heartless? Well, you are wrong. I have as much soul as you and full as much heart. If God had given me beauty and wealth, I would have made it hard for you to leave me as it is for me to leave you.
Oh, Jane, it is so.
It is not so! You are going to be married!
Be still. Don't struggle so.
I will not be still. I have spoken my mind and could go anywhere now. I am a free human being with an independent will, which I exert to leave you.
And your will shall decide your destiny. I offer you my hand, my heart, and a share in all my possessions.
You play a farce.
I ask you to pass through life at my side, to be my second self, my earthly companion.
You have chosen your bride. Don't mock me.
My bride is here because my equal is here. Jane, will you marry me? Do you doubt me?
Entirely.
You have no faith.
Not a whit.
What love have I for Miss Ingram? What love has she for me?
But
I only brought her here to sting your jealousy. To make you want me just as I wanted you. You were so secret, so proud, so restrained. You strange and earthly thing. I love you as my own flesh. You, poor, obscure, plain as you are, accept me as your husband.
me?
Yes, you. Say yes, quickly.
Let me look at your face. Turn to the moonlight.
Oh, Jane. Torture me.
Do you sincerely wish me to be your wife?
I do.
Then, sir, I will marry you.
All the proceeds from tonight's box office will be going to the Simon community. Sadly, homelessness is really on the increase, especially in our capital city, and we're delighted to be able to help in some small way. Enjoy the rest of the show.